To start with our different watercolor techniques, first I want you to put your name on the top. Then we're going to label the different areas we're going to work in so that you can practice, but you still have a reminder of what that technique is called. So the first one is really simple. It's salt. It's when we're going to add the salt to our watercolor to make the snow. Over here, we're going to have resist. Resist. That's when we're going to use the tape to make a resist, and no paint is going to go where the tape goes. And then down here, we're going to do one that we're calling dragging. Dragging is when we're going to drag the paint to create the texture for the trees. Now let's talk about our supplies. You're going to need your paintbrush, your watercolors, some water to go with that, and then a piece of tape and just a part of cardboard. Some of them might be ripped, some of them might be cut up. First thing we want to do to prep the paper is put tape over your resist word. So you take a piece and tear it, or there might be some pieces already at your table. And I would say just put it right over the word resist. And you do need to press it down on the sides and the edges. So now I've got my resist set up, and we can start. Take your paintbrush and get it wet, and then paint in just one color. So I'm going to go ahead and take just the purple. Just some nice swirls with my nice wet brush. And then just smoothly paint an area. Mine looks a little bit dry, so I'm going to add a little more water. Just dip in the water and add just a little bit. Now you don't want, see how right now it's kind of a pool and it moves around if I tilt the paper? We don't want a pool, so I'm going to keep going until I kind of cover enough paper that it's not just a big pool. But it's still really wet. You can see when I move my paintbrush around, it's still really wet. But now when I move it, it's not like the paint is moving around and dripping. While it's still nice and wet, you go ahead and you take just a pinch of salt, just about that much. You're not taking scoops or trying to pour it on. You just want to pinch, and then you sprinkle, which is when you're going to rub your finger and thumb together and let little bits drip and fall out of your fingers. And you want to sprinkle it not in one big pile. You want to sprinkle it all over the area you just painted. The salt is going to absorb, and it's going to make your little snowflakes. It's going to absorb the water and the color off of the paper, making it look nice and white. The resist is really easy too. I'm going to get a little more water on my brush, come over, spin, spin, spin. You can just use the same color the whole time to get all these techniques done quickly. And you're going to paint all the way onto the tape. I'm not trying to cover the tape. I just want to paint almost around it, and I can even go over the edge a little bit. The idea behind resist is that wherever this tape has been pressed down nicely and neatly, there will be no paint. So we'll see what that looks like when we pull it off later. Dragging is the last one, and that's when we're going to take this plate with the black paint and just, it's tempera, it's different than the watercolors, and we're just going to dip one of the flat ends of this in the paint. Make sure there's paint really on this guy, and then you set it straight up and down, and you're going to just drag, and it's going to make the textures for our tree. And you can kind of play with how you might make that. I really like the dragging technique. So play a little bit with dragging and how you make that shape. I don't want it all black because we want the texture that we'd see in the tree. So some of these other ones are a little better. And after you have all three, we're going to let it dry totally, and then we'll take off the tape and wipe off the salt and see what it looks like. Now, I've given it some time and it's dry. You might do this next time in class. But as you can see, the salt has made these little starry snowflakes, and then you can just wipe off the extra off of your paper so that it's nice and smooth and no one will know how you made this awesome salt snow technique. Then over here at the resist, use your nail to just pick up a little corner of the tape, maybe the whole side, and then you pull the whole thing off. And as you can see, it gives me those nice straight edges that we want to use on those trees, on our birch trees. We want those really straight trees, and we want them to be white, so that afterwards we can add the dragging technique, which is already dry and ready to go. Go ahead and try making your own of all three techniques.